What's going on, guys? We're back again for another streaming session. Brand new week, brand new money. I think I only streamed once last week, and I told you guys or maybe twice, but I told you guys right before. I think it was only once. I think it was last Sunday, so I kind of dropped the ball on that. I've been really busy lately, but no excuse. That last stream, I told you guys the market was going to explode, and you can see we absolutely ripped into the week of last week. A lot higher into midweek until earnings and all that stuff came out, and you can see how that went. Pushed all the way up, made new highs, and then ended up selling off right back, and we're right back down. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now here after hours or overnight as a fresh new week kind of kicks off here. um, yeah, we're seeing some bleeding here overnight. SPY, QQ, everything. Futures are down pretty decently, and we're breaking for MNQ those lows from Thursday's sell off. So not really a good look for now. ES, on the other hand, though, has not broken those lows. So technically, it's kind of until ES breaks it. I think I'm going to just kind of be careful with puts down here. So we'll see. Unless we go zone to zone and stuff like that, I think I'm going to be reluctant to want to take puts. At lows. Unless there's going to be continuation. So let's get into it. Let's get into Thursday, Friday's action real quick, my trades, and then setups that I'm eyeing going into a fresh new week. So let's get into it. Thursday, as you guys know, was a banger day. Banger move at open for me and the team. I told the team at open, pre-market, right, in Discord, I'm just like, I'm the only thing I'm seeing right now, because they pushed us right after earnings. They pushed us right back to highs. And so we're literally right back at highs, but we didn't open up new highs, and we didn't open up above, that recap zone. So I was like, likely, going into today into Friday, Apple earnings at close Thursday, likely we're just going to range. Likely they're going to pull it back down in the range. So my thesis was that eat the gap, pull it down, and puts that open. When we got that little wick push up right there, shorted that nicely right there. Shorted that push knowing we're going to dump, and we did. Absolutely. Absolutely dumped right there. And this is kind of the hourly moves we look for at open. We catch these moves all the time. And this is kind of, our criteria and our setups that we look for, real cap zones, and then hourly moves out of them that are usually really strong. So that's usually kind of how we do things and how we catch monster moves. You can turn a little bit of money into a lot with these moves. That's what we look for. So pretty cool stuff on the sell-off there. And you can see midday, SPY perfectly slapped that 685 demand, and called that, it just bottomed out there and ended up pushing right back into range. From there, Friday wasn't, it wasn't crazy, right? We just kind of stayed in this flag here. We just kind of, up, down between the zones, a little bit of, up and down movement. Took some puts up here for Q that actually turned into a banger move from, 628, 627 zone right there. And absolutely just kind of reversed all the way back down. So, that worked out good. And I like the setup here on Q. It's just, man, it's playing out here overnight. I like this. I like that if we end up breaking 617, we would end up dropping, and I have my targets already there. 615, 616, 615, 613, then ultimately 611, 610. And right now we're at 616, 31 overnight here. So we're just kind of right under that zone. Depending on how much of a gap kind of opens up overnight, we'll see. Because most times we've been filling the gaps on the move back up. So I'm not even worried about, gap downs or anything like that. We'll see what they do here at this zone. SPY's not breaking down like that. Only Q and Tech is. So we're just kind of keeping a clean eye on that as well. So of course, QQ for tomorrow under 618, 617 zone there. You would need to stay under that for us to see a move down to 611, 610. And even then, guys, we get that move down, say we do from here all the way into this range. The last time we're in this range, and I told the team this, we literally gapped down into this range from that, Monday was a holiday, Tuesday. We gapped down into it. We held, kind of pulled down lower, and then they faked it and ran it up. We banked off calls that whole week because we just fought on the move all the way back up. So we're just going to be right back in that range. There's a lot of support down here. for Q at least. And I would be a little bit careful down here until we break around 606, 605. From there, I'm pretty comfortable. We're going to go retest 600. And then from there, we'll see what they do at that 600 level. Because last time we're there, we just rocketed all the way back up to 624. So I'm not going to be getting too bearish. We'll see. As long as SPY and Q kind of still like stay near all-time highs, then I'm not going to be getting too bearish. I'm ready to play puts when it's time to play puts, and that's only when it matches my criteria, zone to zone. So that's really about it for Q right there. For SPY, again, we're not far off from all-time highs, 687 area. So we're just kind of under this zone right here. It's very possible that if we do kind of open up outside of this flag, that we do see a move down to 685. And then from there, if we end up breaking that, going to be a bigger move to 682 than 680. Again, from there, we have a lot of support from there. We'll see what they do. I think bulls are going to try and really step in here as best as they can. And it's very possible that, maybe we're going to see some type of trend change if maybe Amazon, maybe if, some tech earnings. I don't know. We have a big week of news, right? I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. No, I don't have an ego in this. This is how I stay winning. This is how I stay making money, because I don't have an ego. All I do is assess the situation, trust the Rico cap zones, and then win. That's it. Trust the setups. Look at this. We have a full week of news here. Red folder news. PMI Monday after market open. Jolts Tuesday after market open. Wednesday is going to be kind of more of the heavy hitter stuff, but just, the employment numbers, job numbers, that's before market open. That's going to move us more. PMI 10 a.m. So after market open, just kind of be a little bit more of a move there. Unemployment claims Thursday before market open. That's going to be a big one. And then Friday, non-farm unemployment rate, and then our average hourly earnings month over month before market open on Friday. And then a little bit more news, that consumer sentiment. So that's going to move the market as well. Every day is going to be kind of a little bit more fireworks as we get towards the end of the week. And makes a lot of sense too, because we also have earnings as well, right? AMD after close, keep that in mind. SMCI, maybe, that's not going to move anything, but AMD is going to affect a little bit. Palantir after close Monday. AMD, Chipotle, SMCM, that's really nothing. I would say Palantir, AMD, and then February, and then Wednesday after close, Google and ARM and QCOM. More Google and QCOM than anything. Those are going to be some of the movers. And then Thursday is going to be the biggest one with Amazon moving us as well. So after that, that's really about it. I don't think Toyota is going to be moving us at all. So it's a joke, obviously. Big tech still. And then we have, NVIDIA earnings in like 3 weeks. That's another thing where market's going to be kind of looking at. And looking at the daily, man, I love this so much. I know it looks crazy right now if you're looking at my charts or whatever. And, to the untrained eye a little bit, you can see this and be like, that just looks like nonsense. But what I'm looking at here is, it depends where we close on, tomorrow, I would assume. But, I'm kind of seeing, a little bit of a W, pattern here that, if they don't buy it up tomorrow, right now we're at 187. So right down here, if they don't buy it up and push it back up like this, it's very possible that, they're going to grind it out a little bit more. And then we see this move to 200 to 205 to eat that gap. Earnings probably 208. It will be at 208 around earnings. And then from there, we'll see what kind of happens there. But, this is going to be interesting. I want to see what's going on with NVIDIA. I think I'm just seeing some weird signs the last few days, price action. I've been seeing just weird movement out of it. And this is coming from someone that tracks it every day, that trades it whenever I can. And that's, I just saw some weird stuff. So we'll see kind of what it does. It is at this demand here, this 187, 186. We're not new to that demand. We held that demand all, last week, end of last week. And then, of course, last week. So again, this area is very tough, but once we really break that 192 and get through 195, it's gonna really explode. So don't sleep on that, but just keep an eye on it. I think we're a little bit early on it. It does have a few weeks for earnings, so maybe we might see something kind of go from there. Not too sure, but we will keep an eye on that as well. So we will see what happens with that. I will be keeping an eye on that as well. Just you know, not forcing anything, right? We're looking for our setups right now. This is where we start entering the year where things get a little bit dicey. Seasonality says, mid February we start selling off into March, but we're not going to have a bias. We'll keep that in the back of our mind, but we're not going to have a bias, um, and be looking for puts only and things like that, because it's a brand new year. Anything can happen, um, and we're not going to kind of restrict ourselves, keeping that bias of, I'm only looking for puts. I'm looking, and then when downside opportunity presents itself, you oversize and you expect a bigger move, and sometimes it's not that. So that's what how we're going to handle that the most is just, not overplay our part. Look for the better high conviction setups, and one of them is Google. Google squeezing here into earnings, and I like this. I don't know. Let's see what happens, right? Because Google, if Google makes new all-time highs, we're just under new all-time highs. It created all-time highs on Thursday after some of the big tech earnings, but quickly kind of reversed there. I'm watching this over 340 right now. It's at 335 after hours. We're just holding this demand right here. We're gonna be watching this tomorrow at open to kind of see what it tries to do, and just kind of watch it from there. Um, Again, Amazon as well, same thing. It's only down 2.5. It's not looking like any directional for now. We've been playing this and kind of went banking off it on the up and down, but we're not going to press it or anything like that. We're just kind of watching this to see kind of how it goes. Again, it's not too far off from highs, and we could see some magic out of it. I don't know. We will see. Again, not going to force anything or give out any predictions with that, because some of these tech earnings have been lackluster to say the least. And I hate that, because whenever you see kind of lackluster or just kind of earnings like that with big tech, literally the next 3 months are going to be, the next 3 months are just going to be followed by that. So I think that's probably going to be a telltale sign. And it's very possible we do, if these earnings sell off like that, and they kind of stagger a little bit, it's possible that we do see that selling, that seasonal selling, that and wait for the next earnings to come around, which would be around that time of March, April, and then see kind of what happens. I don't know. We'll see. We'll stick to the zones, the real cap zones. We'll keep winning and staying like that. Yeah, Amazon, Google, looking at those high conviction. There's a couple other high conviction setups that I posted to the members that I probably won't show you guys right now. IWM, I do like IWM here. A little bit of weakness. It is sitting over, I would say, a pretty decent kind of gap here. Last time we're in this kind of range, we kind of just blew right through it. And it was a clean sweep. So I'm expecting us for a clean move straight through it as well. It's kind of a clean move out of that demand, that 255, 254, and just pushed right through in the same day. We will see though, and there's a level about right there. I see it, rough level right there. Yeah, and it's in between that. So we will see kind of what happens, but it's a good drop from 258.30 under that 255, 256. Should be decent. We'll see if it kind of falls out there. It is at 257 right now. So 258, 257, kind of in that area. We'll see. We're going to be creating gaps above us. So it's very possible, that we kind of eat those gaps. Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the next day, maybe into the week. We can't rule that out, because every time we have created those gaps, we have ate them on the move into the week. So don't be getting so married to one side, I would say, as my best suggestion there. Um, yeah, so we'll see a lot of possible downtrend breakouts that could be forming. I would say whenever they do form. I right now I'm not saying I'm calling that or seeing that right now, but I love when we do get some selling, because those downtrend breakouts are the best on making a lot of money. So I'll be ready for that. I welcome any type of redness right now. We will see what's up. It just seems like buyers are too scared to kind of run to those highs and kind of lead that way there. So it's very possible. And I guess we'll go from there. We see energy here is red after hours or overnight, or they closed red. I don't know what. Yeah, overnight they are red. I don't. Yeah, they are red here. One of them, someone's got to go green. It's got to be them, or it's got to be SPY for tomorrow. So we'll see kind of what happens there. But energy trying to break out, I like that too. You can always look at those names. It's not bad, not bad at all. I think Chevron is probably my favorite here. It's showing some pretty good movement here. Look at that, blasting up. I like it. Let's see on that Friday. That Friday, pretty ugly, up, but still pushing up. I like it. Now down red. We'll see who kind of goes green tomorrow. If it's going to be Spy or some of that energy. Again, 687. We're just kind of in this area here. We'll see if we open up outside of that flag. We'll see if they try and push up and take that gap out. I think what we saw here earlier was futures opened up red, pushed up and took out that gap that it created and then pushed right back down. So that was pretty bearish in my eyes. Bears trying to take out that gap and any reason to go back up, and they trying to pull it back down. So that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. As far as the sentiment right now, I'm not going to get too bearish. I'm not. We're still in striking distance of all time high for Spy. Or that's one green day on the move back up, right? That's one rally on the move back up, and we're already at all time highs. So I'm not going to get too bearish here. We will see, I guess, where we can go from there. And yeah, and if it's low volume, I guess again, Bulls, a win for Bulls this week would be low volume, them holding support, but just melting it back up. Sellers are going to have to come in aggressive. They're going to have to come in aggressive. They got to be holding down overnight like this. They got to be opening up, and we got to see more selling. And we have to, no gap fills on the move back up. It's got to be open and run with it. Kind of like how we saw Thursday, just pressure, just panicking a little bit, just pressure on the move down. That's what we need to see. If sellers can't be doing that or not doing that or able to pull that off, then it's going to be, buyers where they start stepping in, and they start, they really start kind of maybe melting things up or, holding things and things like that. Again, you got to be watching out for that. We got to watch out for that because, you can't be shorting a dull market, and you can't be making money trying to short when there's no volume. Need volume to go lower. Absolutely need volume to go lower. So don't be caught with your pants down trying to short there at lows, and they try and aggressively bounce it. And that's the thing. Anytime we've seen some of these days where we sell, we have been aggressively bouncing back up, bouncing midway, bouncing, and I don't like that. I really don't like that. I like that. I like sticking to one direction, right? I like, if we're gonna rally, then rally it through. If we're going to sell off, then let it sell off into a flag, or let it sell off into just kind of pulling down and staying down. Like, I don't like this kind of midday just whipsaw right back up and then kind of pushing it back down. Like, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of ways to make money with it, but as far as like a technical standpoint, I think that really confuses a lot of people, and it confuses a lot of traders, and they get caught on the wrong side. People are like, no, we're going down, no, we're going up, and then it just squeezes. And I don't know, it's a lot more difficult for the average trader, and I understand that. So I would just ask, things to be a little bit easier for the average trader here. But we'll stick to what we got, and we'll stick to our setups, and we'll kind of just keep it pushing from there. We saw Tesla Friday make a pretty decent move out of 429, 425, decent push. There's still a few decent names on Friday that made some decent moves, and could capitalize off them for sure. It wasn't all a bust. Google had open as well, kind of dipped and then pushed, or pushed and then dipped. Either way, it was a decent little move, zone to zone, especially from 335 all the way up to 339, $4 move. Not the craziest, but still something on a Lotto Friday, that's for sure. Now this is going to be a little bit more difficult. Looking at SpyX again, SpyX. Some of these names are just creating these gaps, and that just creates liquidity and reasons for us to go back or retrace. And then from there, it could be a win for Bulls or Bears, wherever the case may be. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. One thing is for sure, though, we're going to be looking at Thursday's lows for SPY and QQ. We're going to be looking at those lows, meaning those lows need to be the ceiling for us if we're under it here. SPY's not, though. SPY's kind of not far from it, about a $3 drop away from it. We're still holding this zone. So that's why I'm kind of like, I'm not getting too bearish yet, because SPY needs to be on the same page as Q. Q weaker, tech is weaker, sure. But if SPY's going to hang around here, then it's likely gonna push back up, and it'll end up trapping sellers down there on Q. And I don't know. I don't think that's going to be a good move, right? It's going to trap a lot of people, and that's going to be crazy. So not going to be looking for that at all. We'll see. I need SPY on the same picture here, and the same move, same everything, because that's going to kind of be leading the way here. SPY's a little bit more closer to all time highs. I know if we break out of this flag and we end up kind of seeing some continuation, then we can make some money. So I'm ready for that. Let's see if we can do that there. So game plans are set. Everything's set. If y'all want access to my trades, my charts, anything like that, wealth.com/Rigo Capital. Get in here and start making some money. We had a monster week last week on some of these names. We knew when to size up, when to size down, and then some of them just kind of went and really banged for us for no reason, right? Thursday was one of them. Contracts went almost 900%, almost they went 900%, almost 1,000%. We played some nice calls on SPY early in the week for that push out. Gap fills. We played gap fills. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We're just managing risk and killing it on our end, sticking to the real cap zones, and that's what's going to save us and help us through these times of uncertainty. So can't wait to see what we do and where we go from there. So awesome. Game plans are all posted for members. High conviction setups are posted. Let's see what happens here. A little bit of selling overnight. We're not scared of that. If we wake up in the morning, I'm going to be live trading, of course. If you want my live trading, only top members get that. So if you're looking for live trading, if you're looking to get everything included, top member, become a top member and start banking with me. So let's see what happens, guys. We got our game plan set, ready to go. And let's see what we can do here. It sure looks like a lot of red overnight here. But again, SPY and Q are not far off from all-time highs. Sure, some of these tech names are weak. We will see kind of what happens here. I think a lot of people are maybe de-risking up here. I think going into these few months, we're not going to see what? We're not going to see gold. We're not going to see people rushing into gold right now. What an insane move. Thursday and Friday, right? Huge knifing, huge pulling down for spot or silver and gold. We're not going to see people selling stocks to run into gold, these names. They're probably panicking here, and some people are going to be like, well, damn, I bought a few days ago and now I'm completely down on gold and silver, and this could take years to come back. Might as well sell and pile back into stocks. We're seeing small caps end up hit highs, all-time highs, and then reverse away. So again, they're not running into small caps, right? So where are they going? Are they going cash? We don't know. We got to see from here. So, I'm not going to get too bearish on stocks yet. I like these setups. I do like that if we do get a sell off, kind of like we did last year, it's going to be another generational move, generational dip that we could capitalize off of. Make a lot of money into the year. I went leaps banked heavy, shares banked heavy. I'm waiting for it. Let's see what happens. So we got some good setups. We're sticking to our zones. SPY and QQ. We're going to stay winning. Be ready. NVIDIA earnings in 3 weeks. We got big earnings this week. Alphabet and Amazon and AMD, really the main ones. AMD is probably going to be affecting NVIDIA a little bit. AMD for sure. Contracts are juiced right now. I don't even need to look at this to even know that they're juiced. Super juiced. $1,000 for something at 237 there. Right. One strike out the money on Friday where it closed. Obviously, it's down $5 now. So we'll see kind of what happens there. AMD has some monster gaps below. Monster. A small one at 225, huge one at 214, 210. And then the giant one from the OpenAI deal from 194 all the way down to that 170. Possibly double top here, perfectly moved back up into that area at 267, 264 rejected. I don't know. We'll see. This one's a puzzle. This one, I don't know. I mean, these earnings have been, like I said, just not what we've been expecting or looking for. We'll see if Google and Amazon can turn that around. There's some heavy hitters. We know Meta and Microsoft didn't really do that. Meta did a little bit, I would say, pretty decent gap, and then push up, and that daily gap still open. It's probably going to come down and eat it. Like I said, I knew we'd likely come all the way up to 725 area, 730 area if the earnings went well, and it did exactly that. That's awesome. Microsoft, I was expecting a move up, but didn't actually move down. But good thing about this is it's a great company, and if you're looking for, to play, um, you know, something where the contracts aren't too bad and it's a gap, it has every other day contracts now, and has that huge daily gap. I mean, something to play, something to look for. I'm not really a big fan of playing gaps back up unless it's like Spire QQ and it's a little bit stronger. I don't like individual name gaps because anything could happen there. So I don't know. I'm just kind of pointing it out. That's something that it's got to come back and eat. So we'll see. But again, the earnings, whatever. It posted some decent earnings and the guidance was whatever. And they kind of just sold it off there. Meta, we'll see kind of what it does. Kind of in this area, I would expect it's kind of trickling down. Apple, Apple didn't save nothing, right? Big push up after the earnings and then just did nothing after that. So amazing, right? Amazing. I think we've been in this area for a while now. Yeah, we had a gap at 255, 253 that got filled. Yeah, I don't know. We're not really doing anything for Apple. We'll see. Unless Apple breaks 265 up here, probably wouldn't be looking to play calls until it breaks that. That would be a pretty good move, I would say, for that move into 270 above that, 271. We'll see. Anyways, all right, let's see kind of what sets up anyways for SPY and QQ and the rest of the names. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's see what happens. And yeah, go from there. So game plans are set, ready to win, ready to bank. Let's see what happens. Questions, let me know. If not, have a good rest of y'all Sunday and a good night. And we'll see what we can do. Let's make some money. I'm ready. I'm looking for a big play that I can really full port. That's what I'm itching for. I'm really it's been a good trading. January was good to us. It wasn't like monster or like hell yeah. So I think I'm just kind of like itching for that, monster month to start the year off and just like, let's go, I'm itching for it. I hate kind of being patient, and that's kind of how we've been lately, just being patient, waiting for it. So we'll see. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start this year. Let's run it. Like I'm ready to run it up. Last year was great. Let's do it again this year. We got big deals, get big plays, big everything. Let's lock in. Let's go. Let's do it. All right. Game plans are set. Everything is set. If you want my trades, want my live trading, want my charts, anything y'all need from me, I got y'all. WAP.com/Real Capital. DM me if y'all need anything. Have any questions about anything. I don't care if it's just stock related or chart related or whatever, or my service related or whatever y'all need. I got y'all. And if y'all just want to learn more about Regal Cap, you can go to realcap.com. So let's lock in. Let's make some money. And I'll see you.